Well, for next week, those who wish to address the assembly need to meet Mr. British Abraham, give your name so that you can be slotted, right? I must say that these addresses by first-year junior members posted on the internet are attracting worldwide attention. And I get a lot of positive feedback from people around the world. And therefore, you must know that all of you are taking the name of the college to the nook and corner of the world. It's a great thing that's happening, and I'm glad that you're all participating in it with happiness and full conviction. Now, let's continue our thoughts. Yesterday, when the time ran out, I said, I will say something about creativity. Also yesterday, we were trying to look at Bertrand Russell's idea that in order to lead a meaningful and happy life, we need three things, of which I introduced the first, which is the shift from acquisitiveness to creativity. I tried to explain various aspects of this shift, at the end of which I said, I'll try and say something about creativity, and I'm sure all of you know that this is one of the most difficult themes to speak about. But I'll give you some hints so that you can continue to search for a fuller understanding of this concept. Right? For example, theatre is creativity, but more than that, writing a play is quintessential creativity. Composing a piece of music is sculpture, painting, whatever, all kinds of manifestations of creativity. But there is also creativity in every aspect of life, including the work that we do. Creativity in relationships, creativity in doing work at home. Home can be a nest of creativity. For example, in the recently concluded elections, St. Stephen's College, thanks to the physics department and in particular Dr. Guete, was able to use electronic voting machines. I think we are the first college in the country to do so. But nobody will talk about it because it's not convenient, right? Wonderful things are happening in this college. Let that be. Now let's try and understand this. What is creativity? I have done a lot of research on this. I have not really come across many books that are good enough to quote. The one that I like most is the book by Arthur Koestler, The Act of Creation. But even that leaves a lot of things unsaid. There are theories of creativity beginning with Plato, Aristotle, and the rest of it. I'm not going to look at any of those things. I'm going to tell you what I have understood from my experience, right? So it will be very down to earth and easy to understand. Okay? Right. Let's get started. The first proposition I'm going to make is that creativity is the human, or the product of the human intuition of the whole. Remember, I spent a whole assembly address, 20 minutes, on the problem of living in the partialness. That word doesn't exist. I have to coin a word, partialness. Okay? Wholeness. Right? Most people, 99.999% of the people, live a partial life. As T.S. Eliot says in The Murder in the Cathedral, living and partly living. Alright? Now, living and partly living, you may strike up any poster you like. You may pretend that you are the greatest person in the world. You may think that you are the king on which everything rests. But the fact of the matter is, that you are leading a very small life. This is a reality. And this is the pain in the human predicament. No human being can completely ward off the awareness that we are living in the past, imprisoned in the past, and therefore leading a lamentably partial life. And that is why all of us are constantly raked by the thirst for something that we have not laid our hands on. All of us have experienced it. In fact, the more sensitive you are, the more potentially great you are, the more you will be aware of this. You can also live like the pig that goes digging its nose in the muck, because it doesn't know anything more than that. You can live like that, lead a very smug life. But it's better for you and for me to experience that inner pain, the deep thirst that arises out of the intuition that we are a long way away from the wholeness of things. And the artist is someone who is constantly dreaming of that. For example, the face of a woman, say, Mona Lisa, right? The enigmatic face of Mona Lisa. Now, why is that so enchanting? Here is the thirst of an artist to try and capture the fleeting, evanescent, ephemeral beauty of the face of a woman, within which there is a margin for enigma, because ultimately beauty is also a manifestation of mystery. Beauty is mysterious. You cannot anatomize beauty and say these and these and these ingredients will give you beauty. It doesn't happen that way. There is mystery at the heart of beauty. Now, this may exist as a theoretical proposition, but as a conceptual statement, it is nowhere near the mark. It is an embodiment of the part. But the artist wants to give it flesh and blood and take it as close as possible to the whole. You understand? That's the work of the artist. Now, you can be an artist in playing football, as Maradona was, as Messi is. When the ability to relate to that particular object, the ball, within the much larger context of the field, 21 other players, the goal mouth, etc. And a spell of magic is woven because of one's training and aptitude and so on and so forth, and suddenly in that flash of a moment, something of beauty is manifested. And what is that beauty? The beauty is the opportunity provided to you as the spectator to experience the fullness of that particular human activity. That is why you suddenly jump from your couches and you clap. Right? You may not know why you are doing it, but this is how it happens. Now, this is possible at all stages, and this must be possible at all stages. For example, you can be very creative as students in reading a chapter and reading a book. You can read a book like others do, just keeping the examination in mind, which is only a part, and that is the condemnation of the present system of education, that we are all obsessed with the examination, and we forget the much larger thing called our growth and empowerment as human beings. And because we are obsessed with the examination, the way we read a book is blighted. We are disempowered, disallowed, prevented from entering into the fullness of a text. And that's why you experience studies as a burden. The moment you switch from that state to the pursuit of wholeness or creativity, studies becomes a celebration. a banquet of life. And that's what a good student must experience. So the first proposition I've introduced is that creativity involves the celebration and the manifestation of the intuition of the fullness of things. Right? It may be the fullness of a small little thing. For example, Van Gogh painted the picture of a pair of shoes, farmer's shoes. And Martin Heidegger writes a fantastic passage on that piece. One of the best I have ever read. So now, when you look at a pair of shoes worn and discarded by a farmer, slaked with mud, what do you see? You see nothing. Van Gogh will see immortality in it. And that's the difference. Okay? So from this I want to go to the second aspect, which is creativity, because it is an intuition, pursuit and celebration of fullness. Now the second point, creativity involves the manifestation of the hidden. Can you remember that? The manifestation of the hidden. As I said, up until the time Van Gogh's eyes fell upon a pair of shoes discarded by a farmer, nobody could see the beauty in it. He manifested the hidden. Right? When an accomplished choreo artist comes on the stage and performs, she is manifesting something that we have never seen before. The beauty of the body and the poetry in the motion of the body. Right? When Shakespeare takes up a plot and uses the alchemy of his creativity, he turns into something the world has never seen before, and it becomes an immortal piece of literature about which one of the historians of English literature, W.H. Hudson, says the relationship between the plot that Shakespeare used and the final product that he has left behind for humanity, there is this kind of a connection, and I'll tell you what that connection is. You see, you go on the landscape at night and see diamonds glittering everywhere. Right? And you say to yourself, these are diamonds left behind by kings' children at play. I'll come in the morning with a big basket to collect these diamonds. It will be wonderful. And I do so. In the morning I come. What do I see? I see these humble, ugly glowworms crawling. You understand? What the diamonds that humanity sees in the name of 36 or 37 Shakespeare plays originated in those glowworms, which are known as the sources of Shakespeare. In our library we have a wonderful collection called The Dramatic and Narrative Sources of Shakespeare by Geoffrey Bullough. Even if you're not a student of literature, you must look up some of these books, especially members of the Shakespeare Society. Actually, I must tell you that Shakespeare Society was founded in St. Stephen's College in order to popularize a taste for Shakespeare. Now, unfortunately, that goal has been forgotten over time. I'm sure it can be brought back, and I'm sure it will be. So, now the second part I said about creativity is what? Manifesting the hidden. Now, I'm sure all of you will readily agree that what is not seen, what is hidden, or what is invisible in the routine life, the routine of life, is 1,000,000 times greater than what you see. You understand? And therefore, if you insist that life is only what I see, and this was the problem committed by the empirical worldview, since the Enlightenment, people began to say, only that which I can experience with my 5 senses. What are 5 senses? I know that. What is the 6th sense? Does anyone know what is the 6th sense? Anyway, you look that up. Only that which I can experience through my five senses is real. Nothing else is real. Nothing else matters to me. Now, people didn't realize that they were actually shutting the door on life themselves. What you see is very, very insignificant. What has been manifested so far is insignificant compared to what remains to be revealed. And that is true about yourself. For example, when you were 5 years old, certain things were manifested, right? And for you to say, well, this is what I am, and I will only be this, is actually tantamount to inviting death. You will never grow in your life. Life is beautiful because at every stage there is the hope of being able to manifest more and more and more of what today remains invisible. And the day I lose that excitement, I die even if physically I'm able to go around. You understand? So this is the creativity of life. For example, even in doing routine things like making chapatis at home, I have made several references to chapatis in the course of my assembly addresses, so you know that I live only on chapatis. But even in the way you handle that, there are possibilities. Alright? So, if you do not factor the inexhaustible resources of the invisible, you will condemn yourself to mediocrity and you will relapse into passivity and inertia, and you will lead a life that condemns yourself. This is why creativity is equal to godliness. Creativity is the ultimate. Creativity is the greatest privilege open to human beings. Now, let me introduce the last point, again for want of time. From this, creativity is the ascendancy of the human over the material. Can you remember this? What is creativity? It's the ascendancy of the human over the material. In normal course of life today, the material is supreme. The material order is supreme. Things that you own, the facilities of life, the accoutrements of life are far more important than you. That's why some people are very fond of the chair. The chair is more important than them. It's an insult to the human. The human is far more, 1,000 times, 1,000,000 times, more important than the material order. I'm not saying that the material order is unimportant. Material order is important. And the human is there also to take care of the material order. But if you embrace a situation in which you are unimportant and everything else around you is important, I believe that is a great insult. It is self-denigration. Every human being has a duty to rise above the level of matter so that in his or her hands, matter gets transformed. Otherwise, you will get degraded in the death trap of matter. Please understand. And this is happening. It's happening on a global scale. This is an epidemic of our times. That's the reason why I need to emphasize this. There is a great deal more to be said about it. But again, the problem is time. So let's rise for prayer. Today we will pray for the sick and suffering. O Thou whose presence is everywhere and whose mercy never faileth, graciously regard all who are in trouble or danger, and especially those who are known to ourselves, whom we now name in our hearts before you. Guide the wanderer, defend the innocent, restore the lost, heal the sick, comfort the bereaved, and receive the spirits of the dying. Amen. Thank you, my friends. Have a wonderful weekend ahead. I look forward to getting together again with you in the assembly